Meeting to order on first Monday of August, the August the 5th, 2013. I want to welcome everyone. We have a new preacher in town, and her name is Kimberly Whitlock.
She's the music minister, and I'm actually here, and I'm the pastor. And my name is Larissa Parker. It's a long story.
Okay. She's Faith United Methodist Church.
That is correct.
Man, I'm sorry. We got this. And she's the youth director of the choir or something? But you can come on up because you're going to give the invocation.
I will.
And lead us in the place of the flag. Write it right there. Now tell me, all right, so this is not who you are. Kimberly Whitlock, it's not you.
Right.
We're going to need to see some kind of identification. Photo ID or something like that.
Kimberly is the music minister, and I'm the new pastor. And we didn't know until this evening which one of us exactly would be here.
Okay.
And I was able to be here, so it worked out.
Well, that's great.
So my last name is Parker.
Parker.
Larissa Parker. And
Larissa?
Larissa.
Larissa.
Yes, and I'm the pastor at Faith United Methodist Church.
She's a new pastor. She took over for Joey Hatchell.
Right.
What an upgrade. Joey's a good guy.
It's going well. I'm very pleased to be there.
I'm going to ask everybody, please rise, and when you get through with the invocation, lead us in the place of the flag.
All right. Well, let us pray. Holy God, blessed Lord, comforting Spirit, you have been our dwelling place for all generations. We bow in prayer, in quiet, to honor you, to bless your name, and to ask your blessing upon us. The work we do matters. The community we build together in church and in state is home not only to us, but to many men, women, and children, all ethnicities and ages and abilities and backgrounds. So guide us, Lord, to insight and to wisdom. Let us be quick to listen and slow to speak. Let us offer our gifts in the spirit of service, in respect and honor. Remind us always to love our neighbor and pray for our enemy and strive for your kingdom. As brothers and sisters in the family of God, we pray these things. Amen.
Amen.
And the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mayor, thank you. I spent today with the moving van and have got a little house over near Campbell Middle School just full of boxes. So I will excuse myself, and I'll be with you all another time.
Thank you very much. And
thank you.
Thank you for being here. Anybody wants to help her go unload those boxes, feel free to do that. Item 2 is agenda changes. Terry, did we get the DDA members added?
No, not needed.
Okay. I just want to make sure. Okay. There are no agenda changes. Item 3 under the mayor's report is the Citizens Police Academy graduating class ceremony and presentation of certificates. Ron Fennell is sponsoring that, and we're sort of excited to find out what all y'all did and what y'all are doing and what y'all been doing. So Ron Fennell, who chairs of public safety. Ron, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A few months back, we went through an arduous process to select a new police chief for the city of Smyrna after our 22-plus year chief, Stan Hook, retired. He lives comfortably in Ward 7 and plays golf a lot, visits his grandkids. He's still a happy Ward 7 resident. He was on the selection committee with us. We're proud that we selected a police officer who happens to be chief. And this police officer believes in community-oriented policing. He brought to Smyrna an opportunity. We're here tonight as evidence of one of the things that he has instituted since arriving here, and that is a Citizens Police Academy. Chief, would you please come forward and share what the group did during their 11 weeks, and then we'll hand out some certificates.
Thank you. I apologize, I have my back to y'all, but make sure I get on the microphone. But I do want to say this. On behalf of the mayor and council of the great city of Smyrna, I'm excited to be able to congratulate each and every one of you for graduating from the first Smyrna Police Department Citizens Police Academy. For the most part, the 15 members here were unknown to each other. I'm sure now that, and seeing you earlier today, y'all have become a very close-knit group. You started in May, and then for the next 11 weeks, you attended training for approximately 3 hours a night. You learned about the most innermost activities that police officers face on a daily basis. The items that you learned in the classroom was about the criminal justice system, our training and hiring process, traffic enforcement, criminal investigations, constitutional law, 911, the internal operations of a jail, crime scene processing, gangs, crimes against children, property crimes, use of force. One scenario I heard y'all liked real well, shoot, don't shoot. Death investigations, along with the functions of the medical examiner's office. Police ethics, you learn about our law enforcement explorer program, crisis intervention, mechanics of arrest, SWAT, K9. You got to tour the Glock facility and go to the range and shoot some of our weapons. Now, it's my understanding that the librarian in the group seemed to shoot extremely well.
Yep, that's good to
So
know.
I suggest this. Be quiet in the library and return your books on time. Finally, after all that training, you've got to put everything you learned to the test during the scenario training day. I heard many stories as we had a short reception before we came over here, and sounds like y'all had a lot of fun. Got to realize things can get a little hectic sometimes when you're out there. Now, part of the training, they had to do one ride-along program with a police officer, and I have to admit, I only heard that there's one person who was completing their ride-along when the officer had to respond to an emergency call and turn the blue lights and siren on, that this person told the officer to move out of the way and let them drive. I won't say which one of them. But once again, congratulations, and thank you for being a part of our first Citizens Police Academy here in Smyrna. Thank you. Now, Captain Leonard. There we go.
Barbara Allen. Christina Bailey. Maureen Carter. Jonathan Chatham. Suzanne Doyle.
I didn't pay attention to it. He was wanting to get something from his desk.
Ryan Esparza.
Oh, pins. Oh, maybe upstairs.
Oh, I bet that's right. Yeah.
Doug Hill.
Let's get me.
Mary Ellen Leonard. Daniel LaBelle. Connor Pinson. Catherine Reed. Randy Rowe.
Every woman's dream, every man's nightmare. I heard that there's a what's today?
Amy St. John.
Oh, back in the day. No, see, I was up in Lexington. Yeah. That's where Randy Savage and those guys came through. I went to high school with his sons.
David Wheeler.
Did I roid it out?
No, the dad was. Armstrong.
And Tori White.
We've been waiting for
First was the word shot.
Rookies for target practice. That's right.
Before we get the picture, is there anyone that'd like to say anything? I mean, I don't want each of you to speak. We'll be here all night long, but
I'll just say real quick, I had mentioned this to the chief earlier, that the program was superb and excellent. Captain Leonard, there aren't enough superlatives to say how good he is, how nice he is, how wonderful he is, and how great he took care of us. That's just my 2 cents.
we appreciate. Go ahead and give me- Do it while y'all are lining up.
While they're doing that, I do want to express my thanks to Captain Leonard. When I brought this idea up to the senior command staff, Captain Leonard jumped on this immediately. There was no hesitation, and he has done an excellent job with this. But thanks again, Captain.
Can y'all get just... Let me turn the camera on.
Thank y'all so very much. Thank y'all. Thank y'all very much.
First graduating class, Smyrna Police Academy. Thank you all for your time and service.
Chief, now will there be another class or another opportunity for folks to sign up, or?
Yes, sir. We're planning our next class in January, at which time we'll be taking applications approximately 45 days ahead of time.
Okay.
And I'll make sure that everybody on the council is aware of it. So if they have anybody that they would like to suggest, or even if any of the council members would love to attend, we'd be more than happy.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chief. Item number 4 is land issue zonings and annexations. We have nothing there. Item 5 is previous licenses. We have nothing there. Item 6 is formal business. A is 2013-254, adoption of the 2013 millage rate at 8.99 mils. Mr. Taylor, will you please give us the background on that?
Certainly, Mr. Mayor. As you mentioned, it's the time of year where the millage rate for the 2013 tax billing needs to be set and adopted by the City Council. We are recommending a millage rate of 8.99 mils. This is a continuation of what we have done, I believe, for the last 6 years. I think this is the 6th year where we've had it adopted at 8.99 mils. And that's what the budget was set at for this year. All the appropriate legal advertisements have been met, and so therefore we do recommend that this millage rate be adopted at 8.99 mils.
I'll ask Ms. Terry Nulowich, who chairs the Finance Administration Committee, to please make this motion.
I will. At this time, I am pleased to move that we adopt the 2013 millage rate of 8.99 mils. I think that it is of merit that we have been able to maintain this millage rate, that we have not had to raise taxes on our citizens here in Smyrna, that we're able to operate an efficient and solid government for the citizens of our city.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to set the millage rate at 8.99 mils. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please vote. That is approved 6-0, and for the record, Ms. Melanie Pritchett is out tonight with some minor health issues, so hope she's feeling better. Item 6B, 2013-265 is approval of Ward 1 appointment to the Smyrna Housing Authority. Terry Carithers of Vinings Point term. Terry Carithers will continue the remaining term through 5/2015. That's in Ms. Pritchett's district. Someone make that motion.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Fennell, second by Ms. Wilkinson. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Oh, I'm sorry. What am I doing? Vote. That's approved. We got one more. 6-0. All right, item C, 2013-269 is approval of Ward 5 appointment to the Smyrna Housing Authority. Eric Fernand of Old Spring Road. The term for Housing Authority is a 5-year appointment, and it will expire 5/2018. Ms. Wilkinson.
Yes, I would like to nominate or vote on Eric Fanaud from Ward 5 for the Housing Authority. And I'd also like to just comment that he is very involved in the city already. He's a member of the Optimist Club, and he also works with Little League Football. So I want to welcome him to the board. And at this time, I'd like to make a motion for Eric Fanaud for the Ward 5 representative for the Smyrna Housing Authority.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please vote. That's approved 6-0. Thank you very much. Item D, 2013-282, approval of Ward 6 reappointment to the Keep Smyrna Beautiful Committee, Nell Robinson. The term for Keep Smyrna Beautiful will expire 12/31/14. This board has 2-year terms. Mr. Lineker.
Thank you, Your Honor. Nell Robinson has represented Ward 6 very ably on the Keep Smyrna Beautiful Board for a number of years. So I move to reappoint her to another term expiring December 31, 2014.
Can you get a second? Second. Motion second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please vote. That is approved 6-0. Item 7 is commercial building permits. We have none. Item 8 is consent agenda. Mr. Taylor, I don't think you need to even read this because there's only one item, and I'll read it. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I missed it. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Item E, V13-032 is a public hearing, appeal decision of the License and Variance Board, V13-032, appeal of Community Development Director's interpretation of zoning conditions and requirements regarding a buffer land lot 241 Concord Walk subdivision. Timothy and Terry Evans. Are those folks here? Okay. If y'all want to y'all can come down if you want and just have a seat in the front. And I'm going to ask that Mr. Cochran, our attorney, conduct this hearing. And if you want to give us a little background as to why we're here. I don't know that we've had one of these before, but I guess we're glad to see y'all.
Well, I think you're right with that. I don't think we've had one of these before, but our code of ordinances allows the city to have the final administrative say on the interpretation of its own zoning code. Prior to coming here before this body, the community development department head made an interpretation as to the zoning code dealing with stipulations from an older rezoning that was here several years ago, and that interpretation was appealed. The appeal went to the License and Variance Board, and then from the License and Variance Board, the appeal was before you all for the final administrative say. Before we start the hearing, is maybe just swear everybody in. I think now the property owner whose property is at question here, I think is here. Mr. Is it Jarmillo? Is it? Pardon me? Okay. So whoever's going to testify, including Ken, if you guys come forward, I'll swear everybody in, and then we can get started.
And just for the record, can we introduce everybody?
Sure. I think they're going to get this.
I know that you're an attorney, I can tell.
How could you tell?
And just, yes.
My name is Matt Clace. I'm here on behalf of Mr. and Mrs. Evans. This is Terry Evans and her husband Tim Evans. They're the owners of the property at 118 Jeffrey Place, which is in Ward 4. And that's from our side.
You want to come up? That's who you are. Okay. How you doing?
I'm Mike Jaramillo. I'm the owner of 3901 Concord Walk. The question of where the buffer is.
Okay. So and that's Ken Sudworth, our Community Development Director, and Rusty. Are you going to say anything? Okay.
Help me God.
Okay, so if you guys would have a seat. Ken, if you'd make your way up to the podium here. And kind of, I'll give you guys just a little bit of background. This involves the placement of a fence on property over in what's, Ward 7 now, but will be Ward 4 with the new, after the next election. You know, we redistricted, and this is one of the areas that changed. But this is this deals with property in really two neighborhoods. The appellants, Mr. and Miss Evans, live in, is it Hampshire Place? Is that the name of the subdivision? And the property owner, whose name I will butcher, I'm going to call him Mr. Mike, if that's all right, lives in Concord Walk. And the two properties abut. Mr. Mike's property abuts, his backyard abuts the backyard of Mr. and Miss Evans. And at some point in the, well, Ken, if you can come up for a second, well, maybe we can pull the kind of zoom in on the plat so we can show what we're talking about here.
If you can put it up on the screen, that would help the audience as well.
Yeah, how about the zoom in from there? That's the vicinity map. It's hard to see, but we've got a zoom in, I think, that'll show. Okay. So what's outlined in red there is Mr. and Miss Evans' property. Very, very nice place. The yellow there is the property of Mr. Mike. Okay. And there is a fence. Actually, there are two fences on the property line. There's one fence that belongs to Mr. and Miss Evans, the appellant, and then there's another fence that belongs to Mr. Mike. And that fence is a fence that's at issue. The property outlined in the yellow there, that was part of a neighborhood called Concord Walk back in the, several years ago. That property was rezoned from R20 to a RAD conditional zoning. And there was a hearing after an advertisement, and there was a lot of discussion at the hearing. And as a result of that zoning, there was a site plan that was approved by the city. And there were zoning stipulations. And the zoning stipulations, and those, you all have those as part of your packet, and I'm sure that the lawyer for Mr. and Miss Evans is going to speak to those too. But the zoning stipulations are what they are. We've got copies of those. It's up to you all to determine what those zoning stipulations, how they should be interpreted. The zoning stipulations say to the effect, they say that there's supposed to, or there must be really two buffers along or as part of this development. One buffer has to do with where the development intersects Concord Road. Now, that's not shown on here, but it's up where the road intersects Concord Road, okay? And that is specified as a 20-foot undisturbed buffer, okay, in the zoning stipulation. In addition to that, there was discussion at the zoning, and the discussion had to do with, hey, what are we going to do about some type of buffer between the rear of the lots and other residential property? And the discussion, you've all, like I say, you all have this with you, but the discussion there went to the developer, and the developer gave some comment like, well, there's a rear building line of 30 feet, and I'll save as many trees as I can. And there were questions about, well, what in addition to that 30 feet, what kind of buffer do we require? And through that discussion, there was a stipulation. And the stipulation finally said there's to be a 20-foot non-disturbed buffer along Concord Road and some type of buffer along the other property. So that's kind of by the way of background. For whatever reason, there has been some sort of activity, dispute. I don't know. We'll hear about that, if any, today between the neighbors regarding what can go in that buffer. My office got several emails over the last year or so from a lawyer for Mr. and Miss Evans, who, and the emails basically said, hey, there's some violation of this buffer. They're violating the terms of the zoning conditions. And so I would send the email to Ken, Sudreth, who would send people from community development out and investigate and come back, and they basically found there to be no violation. Now, one thing that makes this, and I'm going to stop in a second. I know I've talked a long time, but one of the things that makes this a little bit complicated is that the initial interpretation from community development, I think we'll all agree, was just wrong. I mean, we did an interpretation that was kind of a practical type interpretation, because we generally, so we said, yeah, there's no violation because this ordinance allows it. Well, the ordinance was the wrong ordinance, okay? But that's really not important now, because Ken has subsequently given the opinion that what Mr. Mike has done in his buffer is okay, because it's some type of buffer. Now, I think you'll hear from somebody, community development or Mr. Mike, that before Mr. Mike put his fence up, he actually contacted community development and said, here's what I plan to do. I've got this issue going on. You guys keep getting called over here. And here's what I want to do. Is it okay? And he was given clearance by the city, I think, to do it, to do what he did. So with that said, the narrow issue for you all to determine is whether or not the interpretation from Mr. Sudreth is consistent with what you all think the zoning code is to do and the zoning stipulation is to do now, or what it requires. So with that kind of said, what I'd like to do, Matt, is when you start, you can just kind of ramble like I did, maybe not as bad as me, but kind of give your opening statement, I guess, for want of a better term, and then you can call some folks. But with that in mind, Ken, why don't you, I understand that you've got an abbreviated presentation. What I want to just ask you for the record is how you got to your interpretation and why you think your interpretation is accurate.
Yeah, thank you, Scott. Scott has given you a good background on how we sort of go, or partially what we have done when we do interpretations and when we investigate issues on that. And we started with the plat. And there's no question that there's a 20-foot undisturbed buffer on the plat. However, the further we got into it, we realized that what was on the plat was different than wording-wise than what was actually approved by council back in 1996. The wording that was approved was that 20-foot undisturbed buffer from the existed along the right-of-way of Concord Road, and that some type of buffer between the yards of the newly constructed homes were required elsewhere. This property, as shown on that close-up that Scott had referenced earlier, is not off of Concord Road. So there's some type of buffer section applies to that. And within our own ordinance, we do allow fences. Even within our definitions of buffer, we allow a fence. So we felt that, I felt that there was no violation there. But in addition, when we went out and investigated, we did not feel that even if there had been a 20-foot buffer that was indeed required, that the disturbance was actually in it. You are allowed to clean up buffers with dead, to clean out dead vegetation, noxious and obnoxious vegetations, but that what we had seen was actually beyond 20 feet anyway. We did allow him to take a tree out. We did send the arborist out to make sure that it was indeed dead. But even that was beyond what we actually needed to do. But given the situation, we felt that it was proper for us to bring in our own experts on that. So where I have made the interpretation is exactly what Scott has said, is that what council approved in 96 was some type of buffer. The plat that was approved, which is the next shot that should be on your screen, we show you the entire length of the street, so you see that it is at the back of the cul-de-sac, but it does reduce the print. But at the very back, it does indicate the 20-foot undisturbed buffer. Well, in my mind, that means that the staff that existed in 1996, whoever that was, looked at that and said, well, obviously a 20-foot undisturbed buffer meets the requirement of some type of buffer. But the plat doesn't become the requirement. The requirement is what council voted on, and so that's how I ruled.
Can you quickly just pull up the, I think you've got a slide that shows the stipulation.
Yeah, it should be on the screen now.
Yeah.
Yours might be sort of small, Scott, but there
Yeah.
it is. But it's listed as zoning stipulation number 8.
And would you read that?
Condition number 8, the buffers will be provided as agreed to by Mr. Bradley Thompson, i.e. a 20-foot undisturbed buffer from the right-of-way of Concord Road, and install some type of buffer between the rear yards of the newly constructed home where they abut other residential properties.
All right. So anything else that you that you want to say to tell the mayor and council how you based your decision?
This went over, as Scott had said, he had gotten several phone calls. We had investigated every time we got a phone call. This has really been going on for a year, and we did not see a violation there, in our opinion.
And there's a fence on Mr. and Miss Evans' property that is next to the fence that they claim is the violation, right?
Yes.
How close is that fence to the fence from Mr. Mike?
You know, they back up to each other. There's, they're going to be 6 to 12 inches apart.
Okay.
Can we ask a question,
Yeah,
Scott?
sure.
Do I have to be sworn in?
No. Ask a question.
Ken, there's obviously several houses up and down. I guess this is Concord Walk. Is that the subdivision?
Yes.
So there's other houses that abut other houses on Jeffrey. Is that correct?
Yeah, Jeffrey is.
Are there fences there? Has there been issues with the undisturbed buffer and putting of fences up in that area?
There are a variety of fences that do exist on that section that's in the Concord Walk subdivisions. They vary in height. They vary in type.
But are they in this undisturbed buffer area?
If I take you back, let me move forward here. Yeah, I mean, that requirement of the 20-foot undisturbed was just for the property that had frontage on Concord Road.
Okay.
Everything else, if it was abutting an existing residential, was supposed to have some type of buffer on it.
Mr. Sudrith, may I ask, the Concord Walk subdivision, do they have a set of covenants approved that would speak to this issue?
Mr. Fennell, I don't know the answer to that. I don't
I'm getting
know.
a nod affirmatively from someone from the subdivision. Okay. Perhaps that would be instructive too, but... Good time to brush up on that.
So you can wait and do your presentation, or you can cross-examine, whatever you want to do.
Well, we had a 2-hour hearing before the License and Variance Board where I cross-examined Mr. Sudworth extensively. I'm sure he remembers that quite fondly.
Step to the microphone for the home viewers. Thank you.
So that's all in the record, and I don't want to rehash it all. We'd be here all night if we did all that again. So I do have some remarks I'd like to proceed with if that's timely. I think to understand where we're coming from here, you need to get some background to where my clients, how this all came to bear. I want to take you back to about 10 years ago. The Evans at that time were living over in Gwinnett County. They had a very difficult family tragedy, and they decided staying in their current home was too painful. They wanted a fresh start, a change of scenery. They wanted a tranquil, naturally beautiful environment they could enjoy for years. They identified the property at 118 Jeffrey Place quite early on. It was still under construction.
Please That's approved 5-1. Ms. Wilkinson votes in the negative. Okay. Item number 7 is commercial building permits. None. Consent agenda is approval of the July 15th, 2013 minutes. Mayor and council, can I get a motion that we approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
All those in favor of the motion, please vote. That's approved 6-0. Item 9 is committee reports. We'll start tonight with Ms. Andrea Bluestein.
Well, for those of you who didn't attend Saturday night, it was a great birthday party. The cake from McIntyre's was wonderful, and the fireworks were great. And as usual, Banks and Shane gave a really good performance. Other than that, I yield.
Ms. Terry Nulovich.
It was a fantastic event on Saturday night. It was a tremendous crowd. The weather was perfect. Smokey's Farmland Band and Banks and Shane were both fantastic. It was exactly the kind of event that makes Smyrna a great place to live and supplies our community with the sense of place that I think is what has attracted so many people to live in this community. I hope everyone is having a great summer. School starts this week. Watch out if you're going to fly down Hughes Street because there are some speed tables in place. There will be some crossing guards there because of the new elementary school. I was able to attend the dedication of the school yesterday. It is a fantastic facility. It is truly, I think, one of the best things that's happened to this community since the Market Village was completed. And having spoken to several residential developers who are building homes in Ward 3 at least, they have said that the school is the reason they are building single-family homes now in the area and the area around that school. I think it's very exciting, and I urge everyone to go check it out. One of the things that was so great about the dedication yesterday was how many people were there who don't have kids at the school, who might be retired. They're partnering with the school. It is truly going to be a community school, and I can't wait to see what happens next. With that, I yield.
Mr. Corky Welch.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to mirror what Terry just said about the school. My wife and I went and walked through the school, and despite getting lost a time or two, she's a preschool teacher, and I think we walked in every classroom and visited with every teacher in that school before the day was out. But it's a beautiful, beautiful school, and I think we should be honored to have it in the city of Smyrna. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Ms. Susan Wilkinson.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a couple announcements to make. One's for the Parks and Recreation Department. They are having a movie this weekend, and it's called Here Comes the Boom, and that will be Saturday evening at August the 10th. And then the following Saturday, August the 17th, the movie will be Despicable Me. Also, I'd like to talk about the library for a moment. The Friends of the Library had a monthly lecture yesterday. They had Joe Kirby from the Marietta Daily Journal, and he talked about the history of the Lockheed plant. And they had 31 participants, and the presentation was very well received. The audience kept Mr. Kirby another 30 minutes after his presentation with questions and comments. The next lecture is Sunday, September the 6th, with Andrea Searles, and she'll be discussing the dispossession of the Cherokee, 1829 to 1838. On another note, the Friends of the Library are having an event. It's an ice cream social. The event will be held Sunday, August the 11th, from 2 to 4 at the Smyrna Public Library. And they will have, besides ice cream, they will also have crafts for the kids, for the children. So, and from that, I yield. Thank you.
Mr. Wade Lineker.
Thank you, Your Honor. A couple things. One, I want to thank the Cedar Cliffs Neighborhood Association for inviting me on July 26th to come spend some time with them and talk to some of the folks, old and new, in the neighborhood. I enjoyed that very much. I think it's interesting and Also, it makes me proud of Smyrna that on Monday, the 29th, Georgia State University brought a delegation of government officials from India to come and talk to the city of Smyrna. I know the mayor was here, and Councilwoman Anulowicz, city administrator Eric Taylor. But it's nice to have Smyrna kind of held out as an example for all these other countries and governments to come and talk to us and hear some of our ideas and look at some of the things that we've done. And it's always a fun time and a proud time to show off your hometown, and I think we all enjoyed that. I too want to echo my compliments to the staff on the city birthday celebration on the 3rd, last Saturday, and for the new elementary school that was dedicated yesterday. We wish the faculty and staff and students there and the parents great success. Finally, signs are up today, and I want to make note of a meeting coming up on Wednesday, August 14th. It'll be at Bronner Hall on Atlanta Road from 6:30 to 8 p.m. It will be to discuss the latest and final changes to the Atlanta Road median plan. This project has been in the works for a long time. Many of you will recall that a year and a half ago in August of 2011, we had almost it's 2 years ago now. We had a first public hearing, presented some plans, got a lot of public feedback. Based on that, we made a number of changes to the plans. We had a second public hearing in April of this year. Again, got a lot of good public feedback. Staff and consulting engineers went back and made further changes to the plans. And so now these final plans, which were shown to the council just recently, we'll present to the public on Wednesday, August 14th, 6:30 p.m. at Bronner Hall. It'll be just kind of an open forum. We'll have multiple copies of the map set up with engineers stationed at them. It's not going to be a dog and pony show formal kind of presentation, but they'll be able to explain what changes have been made to the maps in the course of the process. Our city engineer, who again has been here less than a year, has now said he's very comfortable with the plans. He believes they've been improved. So do I. And I think that improvement is based on the public input from the citizens who live and drive the Atlanta Road corridor. So I thank everybody for coming to those meetings. I had promised before we do anything that we would have another hearing and a chance to show the plans, and that is coming up. So again, the signs are up on South Atlanta Road, and anyone who's interested is welcome to attend. I look forward to seeing many of you there. With that, I yield.
Mr. Ron Fennell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A few items. Also proud to have attended the Smyrna Elementary dedication over the weekend, and I want to thank and single out Pat Terry. I think he was attended the original Smyrna Elementary with a lot of family members and a lot of other Smyrnans who were at yesterday's dedication. He wrote a special song for Smyrna. I hope we have an opportunity to record that, maybe get it more widely heard, because it was a special tribute to the town that he calls home that we're all proud of. So thank you, Pat Terry, for your continued support of Smyrna in so many ways, including sharing your talents that the nation has been sharing for a number of years. Also, those who came out to my town hall meeting, my 6th town hall meeting on July 25th at Jim and Nick's, I appreciate the input and feedback that we get at those town hall meetings, and I look forward to meeting other folks who may not have attended yet to come at the next town hall meeting in the 4th quarter of this year. Also, just a reminder, we only have a couple of weeks left. Smyrna Fresh Market, just a block here from City Hall. That's on Saturday from 8 to noon. Do take time to come and partake of our bounty and of our farmers in Smyrna, and we appreciate the vendors who provide that service to us as well. And then finally, the public safety folks who made the weekend safe. We had only 4 lost parents. The kids were fine. We just lost their parents for a short time during the celebration at birthday night. The fireworks were great. The traffic was handled and everyone was out of the Market Village and safely home in 30 minutes. So it's a tribute to how we managed the event, and the Public Safety Committee's hat is tipped to all of the public safety professionals, parks and rec people, and everybody who was a city staffer who participated in making that event a success and celebrating 141 years of our town, Smyrna, Georgia. With that, Mr. Mayor, I yield.
Anything, Mr. Taylor?
Nothing tonight.
Mr. Cocker? Ms. Graham? Item 10, show cause hearing. We have nothing on that. Citizens input. Got a couple of people signed up. Alec Backery, 3459 Shawnee Trail. Comments?
My first comment tonight is I have a solution for the Hickory Lakes. If the mayor and the two council people in wards 1 and 3, along with the previous, the 4 new people were not involved, 4 previous council people, as well as the Downtown Development Authority, if you could all pool your money and buy Hickory Lakes, that way we can, at this point in the juncture, since we're totally in the dark with nothing going on, pool your efforts and buy the property, then you could all decide as an investment what to do with it. Now, I'd like to comment on last week's article, Mayor, where you said all these purchases of apartments were worthwhile, and you feel like you want to control the destiny of the city. Now, if it was worthwhile, the Smyrna Commons, we lost over $3 million. Somehow I don't feel that that's worthwhile when you lost the taxpayers' money. Again, no town hall meetings or referendums on all of this. And also on the Hickory Lakes, last Thursday, the city owes and paid $478,000 in interest on it. Also, coming up February of 14, February 1st, will be $898,000 in interest on the property at Hickory Lakes. Somehow, as a comment that Councilwoman in Ward 3 mentioned, we bought it for investments. I don't know how these investments, when you have no clue from A to Z, you even acknowledged in the paper that you spent $2.5 million renovating Smyrna Commons, and then over a year later knocked them down. So that shows that you absolutely have no clue of who's going to purchase the property or what direction it's going in. It's all done on pure speculation. And I am one of many people in the city's citizens in the city that don't feel that we have to pay for something that we had no say in. And I am just hope that we, in the remaining 2 years, no more, real estate is bought. You don't speculate with the taxpayers' money. And government should be in private enterprise, period. And I don't know why some people on this council don't get it, that you are here to provide services for us, not being in the profit industry. And I hope these interest payments in the future, we'll see in a year where you are with Hickory Lakes and how bad we're going to be behind on this money, because someone's going to have to come up with 10 million more to build on it, and that puts it up to 26, 27 million. I'm very pessimistic with the future. Thank you.
Larissa Edwards, 304 Hickory, New Smyrna.
Hello, everybody. You guys snuck out on me last time, so I'm glad I'm here. Congratulations, you guys made it to the first page of the paper with your investment. Now, my question is, wait, first, can you guys interact? If I ask you a question, will you allow them to answer?
Clearly, this is not a question and answer period.
I'm just asking. If I asked you a question, would you answer?
Not a question and answer period.
You can call us anytime.
Oh.
You guys don't return any calls.
You've never called me. 404-931-8374. That goes on all my city numbers, go right to my phone. I haven't gotten any calls from you, but I'd be happy to take them.
I will make sure I get in touch with you. That's lovely. Thank you. Okay. My concern is how many people were involved in making a decision to purchase Hickory Lakes. How many Smyrna residents were involved, please? When the city council makes decisions, do you make decisions based on many over few, or do you make decisions based on few over many? Just you guys, it's like a false god complex. Anybody in here familiar with the false god complex? It's people who think they can just do whatever they want to do when they want to do it. And I know you probably, more than likely, there's a 96% chance that you suffer from that, Mayor. Nothing personal. It's just an American thing for people in power. And I'd like to see more Smyrna residents come out and give their voice, because your voice is important. It's only a few people showing up to the meetings. And I'd like to see the city council change. You know, I'd like to see the city council allow the residents to vote. All I see is 6-1. Do you know how many people in Smyrna? And there's 6 people voting on everybody else's lives. And I don't know if you guys are pocketing the money or what you're doing with it, but obviously, how are you guys going to pay these payments? Like, where's the money going to come from? Are you going to raise my water bill again? Like, I'm serious. Where are you guys going to get the money from? Peacemaker for president. Have a good night.
Mayor Kirkland Oil, 1078 Oakview, $20 million mile.
Hey, boy, oh boy. Well, the lady that was here before talking about trees, and I know that was a private property situation, but I'm telling you what, Concord Road is looking hideous. Why are trees being cut down and they're just laying there? They're not even removing them. I have heard the plan for Concord Road is it's going to sit in that condition for another year. I guess that's to continue to devalue. If it's different, inform us. There's nobody informing us what's going on that $20 million slush fund. And Smyrna doesn't have an economic plan or a vision. The plan in Smyrna that's in place is a devalue and destroy plan. There are neighborhoods and whole areas in Smyrna that have a target on their back for future demolition. I attended a Hunter Hill Town Hall meeting recently that Melanie Pritchett was in attendance. And Hunter stood up and asked the few citizens that were there what the Davenport neighborhood needed. And the preacher stood up and said he knows for a fact that if Max Bacon had his wish, Davenport would be gone. And the only reason they're still there is because of the downturn in the economy. I was surprised that there was no response from Councilwoman Pritchett. She should have stood up and at least said something. But that's how people are. That's what's happening in the poor neighborhoods. Susan, your neighborhoods, you need to start standing up. And Ms. Bloomstein, the neighborhoods that are in horrible condition, the mayor doesn't care about the citizens in those neighborhoods. Corky, Smyrna Heights is being devalued. You don't come out there. There's a plan. It's not going to work out. It'll be 50, 60 more years if y'all think Vinings is going to push up into Smyrna. It's not going to. I would recommend taking care of the older neighborhoods, bringing the neighborhoods up, and then maybe you won't have situations like over at Hickory Lakes. But you don't. What have you done? Mayor, you've been here 30 years. You haven't done one single thing along Windy Hill or South Cobb Drive or any of those neighborhoods. They don't feel like they're in the city limits. It's a shame. That's why Roswell's winning. That's why Brookhaven, Decatur's winning. From one corner of that city to every single corner, every neighborhood has people representing them within the city limits and pulling those neighborhoods up. Let's see. Last week's Merida Daily Journal article about Hickory Lakes, I wanted to say the same thing. Alex pointed out that the city said they have been purchasing all these properties so they can control development. Well, your job is not to control your citizens and to control development. Your job is to protect the neighborhoods and to help raise house values and encourage private development throughout the city.
All right, thank you very much for your comments.
I don't think that was 3 minutes.
Any other business to be brought before this body? I declare this meeting adjourned at 8:42. I'm sorry, 9:42. Is it really?
Yes.
Didn't have a pen on me.
Yeah,